So, only a week late, we have our Warhammer Horus Heresy Age of Darkness box. This is the new Warhammer 30k Horus Heresy. It's not a starter box, it's an army box, effectively, because you have everything in here you need to build the core of a new army. So, and a Praetor leftover, so you can see it is a very thick boy. It is nearly 12 centimeters thick, according to my mat anyway, so I haven't actually calibrated my mat. Do you need to calibrate a mat? I don't know. But 12 centimeters thick. So here we have the back of the box. We've got our 10 Space Marines, 10 more Space Marines, 10 more Space Marines, and 10 more Space Marines. There are in fact 40 Tactical Marines in Mark 6 power armor. See, it says right here, 40. Then we've got 10 Cataphractii Terminators, we've got a Contemptor Dreadnought, and we've got a Spartan Assault Tank. We've also got our 2 Legion Praetors, which are here and here. And since somebody pointed out the similarity of this guy to the Lord of Contagion that was in the Dark Imperium box, I cannot unsee it. So what we'll do first is we'll go through the sprues. There's so much stuff in the box, it's really not worth showing just lifting it out. So we'll go through the sprues first. So you start off with 2 of these Cataphractii Terminator armor. Nothing spectacularly interesting about them. They are nice. I don't have... Oh, hang on, let me focus. The box is so thick the focal point had moved. So hopefully you can see all that. So you do get your lightning claws, chain fists, you know, lots of nice weapons. And then on this sprue you get your bolt guns, combi bolters, whatever they are, and your torsos and things. So it is a very nice kit, and I'm glad I've got it, because it's one of those things I've always kind of thought I should have but never got around to, because I kind of thought collecting firstborns at this point seemed a bit, you know, pointless, just because Games Workshop seems to be no new releases. But with all the stuff coming out now for 30k, maybe there'll be some joint 30k 40k units rather than just 30k stuff that then has rules shoved somewhere for 40k. We'll see how all that turns out in the end. But for now, we've got our Cataphractis. So this is an old kit. I think the date on it I saw was... So hopefully you can see there. It is in fact 2014. So old. Although thinking that 2014 is old now makes me feel old. But that's... I am old. So there's your Cataphractis. Now we'll start looking at the new stuff. Probably the biggest rake of sprues. Well, I don't know actually. It's between this and the Spartan. But you get 8 sprues and then 4 sprues. So this is all the Mark 6 beakie Marines. So you get 8 of these identical sprues. I am not a fan of the studded shoulder pads anyway. And they've done this weird thing where they're now a pair. I understand why they've done it, so they can get the studs properly demolded. I think that was a problem with some of the older models. I do like the backpacks. They're kind of very similar to some of the ones on the Chaos models, which I find interesting. I'm not a huge fan of beakies, it has to be said, but I mean, they'll do the job. I'm very, very surprised if there was boxes like this again. This is, I don't want to say a bargain, because it's Games Workshop and it still cost 180 quid, although third-party retailers, I got mine for 140, so you can get some discounts, but then, you know, you're discounting from such a high starting point. Don't look that difficult to build. Again, monopause. It's late and I'm tired. I'm not drunk yet, but that'll be nice. Anyway, monopose models, not a huge fan, but especially not when you're getting like 40. So you're getting 8 units of 5 that are all going to be identical. So it does suck a little bit, and I don't think there's much you can do about it. Obviously arm poses, but if they're just holding the bolters in front of their chests, there's not a lot you can do. So, and then you also get 4 identical sprues of what looks like squad upgrades. So things like pistols, you get bare heads for the sergeants, you get the power fist and lightning claws. I think that's a lightning claw, it might just be a power fist. You get a sword, you get the little banner and the Vox. So And then little knives, or are they bayonets again? I'm not sure. So there's lots of upgrades on this. And then obviously there's one sprue for each squad, so it covers the full 10 models. So if you all wanted pistols, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you do get all the upgrades for each squad. So interesting, but not that interesting compared to, let's move these out of the way, the Spartan. This is a new plastic kit. Now, interestingly, the kit itself, I've noticed this on the sprues earlier when I was lifting them out, it says Land Raider, and that one says Land Raider. This one says Land Raider, and then this one also says Land Raider, if I recall. Yep, up there, so you can see Land Raider. And then this sprue says Spartan. So it's been a very long time since I've built a Land Raider, but this definitely says Spartan. But these, if you will note, copyrighted up here, you can see 2021. So whether or not they're going to do an all new Land Raider, or if this is just the kit for the Spartan, I don't know. I kind of think they'll do a new Land Raider at some point. Like, how old is that original kit? It must be very old. And another disappointment is that they don't do the Land Raider doors on Forge World anymore, so you can't get your Legion specific doors. At least not from Forge World. There are shady sites that sell recasts, and I don't really have a moral problem if Games Workshop, Forge World aren't selling them anymore. I can easily justify that to myself, so I may pick up some knockoff doors at some point. But I mean, it's a fairly boring set of sprues because it is literally just, I mean, this one's mostly tracks, you know, and this one's this is probably the first thing I'll build actually, is the Spartan, despite the fact that I'm calling it the most boring kit. I do like building vehicles, there is something fun about it. So most interesting about this one is probably the weapon sprue. So you got this one full of hatches and things, and the bulldozer thing at the front, and smoke launchers and a missile launcher and things. So it's basically tank accessory sprue, it's called. So if you can see it, there you go, nice and reflective up in the top left hand corner. And I don't know if you get one of these in the... This will be interesting. I've got the Kratos, and I've also got the Demos pattern Rhino. So it'll be interesting to see if you get this upgrade sprue in all the vehicles, or if it's just tanks, because Rhino's not really, well, it's an APC, so it's not a tank. But, and then we've also got our weapons for this. So we've got our dual las cannons. I mean, nothing exciting about that other than it is a new sprue, 2021. So, I mean, you do get that standalone. I mean, that's more sprues than an Imperial Knight. So I do not know how much this is going to cost when they release it standalone. But, I mean, that's 4 big sprues, 2 small sprues. So effectively 5 large sprues. So, I mean, that's more than an Imperial Knight, I think. So I can see this costing 100 quid easy. Now I'll have to get a Bane Blade, see how many sprues are in a Bane Blade. But, moving on from that, we're going to go to the Contemptor. So again, new kit. And this one looks like it's split between a weapon sprue and a body sprue. I mean, this does look mainly weapons. So they might have done what they did for the Armiger Knights, whereas you had the main body sprue and then the other sprue was upgrades, so weapons and shoulder pads and things. So you effectively got your Warglaives and your Helverns looking slightly different, but having a lot of common parts. That works quite well. I'm excited to build that one too. I do love Dreadnoughts. And then we've got our 2 characters. So we'll start with this one. So this one is the one that looks like the Lord of Contagion. He's just got this big axe thing, and it just seeing him built up and the cloak and all, and the little bits of chainmail, really does remind me of the Lord of Contagion. And then we've got our other Praetor. This is the one that's painted up like an Imperial Fist. The beaky helmets on the officers just lack a bit of nobility. But it's either that or paint a face. I don't know. We'll see. What should I do? A helmet or a face? A helmet I don't like, or a face I don't want to paint. I mean, it is a nice face, but it's a face I don't want to paint. And these are rather large for single sprues as well. It's nice to see. I think on a Games Workshop 40k one, this would probably be split over 2 sprues. Certainly that's the latest characters I've been seeing, are smaller sprues to fit into the blister shells. This one, not so much. So I'm wondering how many of these are going to go into blister packs and how many are going to go into just a little cardboard box with some rules and build instructions. And speaking of build instructions, this is probably my only disappointment in the entire box, is the build instructions. And not because they're not good, but because, zoom out a little, because we've kind of got used to the build instructions being full color. Even for boxes like this, full color build instructions. This harkens back to a lot of Forge World stuff. So it feels like a different team has put these instructions together compared to the standard Games Workshop crew. Now that is slightly overexposed, so let me just, because there's a lot of white. So, hopefully this makes it easier to see. So everything's in black and white. And with the new Games Workshop color ones, you do get the impression that you can see the bits you're supposed to be joining because they are a different color. Now, they have faded it. So, you know, you've got your 2 faded ones to go into that brighter one, but it's just not as good, I think. I mean, should be easy to follow, you know, but it's kind of nice. Kind of nice to have full color. But anyway, and I haven't got the heavy weapons upgrades, so I'm trying to save up for a GoPro. Yes, I'm trying to save up for a GoPro for painting videos. I've got an idea that might work, but we'll see. But anyway, and the Cataphractis, again, very simple to build. Kind of like my Terminators to be close combat or really heavy stuff, but go for close combat with these guys because they don't have heavy weapons. And the Contemptor Dreadnought, I'm going to assume that A is the first sprue. See, again, with the Games Workshop instructions for their new stuff, you've got a picture of the sprues and they label them so you can sort of match up which sprue's which. This one's just assuming that the Contemptor Dreadnought is sprue A. It's labelled at A. Now, let's see, is there an A on this sprue? If there is, I can't see it. It's not to say it's not there, but I can't see it. So, although it does have 1, so as long as they don't duplicate the numbers, and I think they have, yeah. So, I'm going to assume this is A, and I'm going to assume that this one is B. So, these do look like they're all from sprue A. So let's just see if it is a body sprue and a weapon sprue. Okay, it is a body sprue, and then we've got some weapon options. So I'm going to try to magnetize these weapons so that we can switch back and forth. I'm not seeing anything particularly bad. So we've got B29 and B7. So B29 goes in one arm, B7 goes in the other arm. I'm not sure if they clip on or not. We'll see. I'm going to build this up, and if I need to magnetize it, I'll show you how to magnetize it. I'm not sure yet. And then we've got the Spartan Instructions. So building stuff like this, where you've got these big sections that all line up, is going to be very tricky to keep everything flush. The bigger the, the bigger the piece, the harder it is to get it all to join up nicely. So this is something you want to take your time building. I don't know when I'll get around to building it, but hopefully it won't be too bad. Because it is a fairly awesome model. It is big. I remember having a Land Raider once before. Now. You do get your rules, so you should be able to play with everything that's in the box. You shouldn't need anything else. Obviously, you're missing out on all the special rules and things for each legion, but you do get all your rules and your points and stuff. And it's obviously the 7th variant of the 7th rather than 8th edition rules. So there's a lot of things that if, like me, you only restarted the hobby from your teenage years long ago. 3rd edition I played. So started again in 8th. So I couldn't really remember that many of the rules, I remember the templates. I do remember templates. And I remember the dice, with the scatter dice, oops. And I do remember accidentally blowing stuff up, that I didn't mean to because the template got scattered. But that's the rule, or that's the build instructions. You do get your transfer sheet. I've got that here. Obviously, this is for this box because it's got your Imperial Fists and your Sons of Horus and nothing else. So, and then we've obviously got 2 bags of bases. So I'm assuming one's for one force and one's for the other force. And then our Contemptor Dreadnought base. And I need that light back on, but it totally broke. Ha! So yeah. But bases aren't exciting. I lose them anyway, so let's just pop that down. And now we'll take a look at our rulebook, which is a thick boy. So if I pop that down, I can put it there, and it is slightly over 3 centimeters, so an inch and a bit. So it is thick. And then if we check the index to see what is lore and what is rules. So the first 146 pages are lore, so let's skip to that. So that's an awful lot of background reading you get into. So we'll say that all of this over here is lore, and all of this is rules. So you do have more rules than lore, which I think is the only reason you should buy a rule book. Now there are still some lovely pictures and some explanations of things, but that's obviously a lot of rules, and I'm not going to cover them because I don't know them. All your special rules in here. Now, also bundled with the rulebook inside the cellophane was a little Horus Heresy book flyer. Gotta catch them all, yeah. And then there are 2 of these reference sheets. So this is good for new players like myself, and maybe as a refresher for existing players, just to, if I don't know what changes have been since the last edition. So there are reference sheets, there are core reactions, vehicle damage tables, and then your roll to hit and to wound for melee. Or, well, obviously the roll to wounds, melee, and shooting. So absolutely everything you could need. And that's pretty much it. I've got the, as I said, I've got the Kratos and the Deimos Rhino. So I shall try to get unboxing videos done for them, but I kind of want to make them build logs too, so it's an unboxing and it's built and here it is, and isn't it lovely? But no way I was doing it for this. There are 40 Space Marines, 10 Terminators, a Dreadnought, and a massive big Spartan. So that wasn't all getting done. I mean, I'm already a week late. Tidying the studio, the man cave. This is it. 180 quid from Games Workshop, and I got it for 140 from Goblin Gaming. So I think this is going to stick around for a while, from what I gather of community posts and forums and that kind of thing, that this is not a limited edition, but I don't know how long it's going to stay around for. I haven't seen dates. It's a good box. If you want to get into the Horus Heresy, this is a good way to do it. If you haven't got any Firstborn Marines, I think you can just buy the rulebook. If you do, you need to get your what did they call them? The index books for the Heretic and the Loyalists. And they're doing one for the Admech. I think there was another one as well. Can't remember. Anyway, loads of books you need. Standard Games Workshop, don't give anything away, even though it would probably attract more people into the game. I shall see you in the next video, whatever I choose to do. I can't really work out what I'm doing yet, but I'll see you next time.